give you a quick abbreviated list of everything that's in 2013 SP1, or at least a top of mind items. I'm going to break this up. First and foremost, it's bug fixes that have been discovered, validated. They're certainly shipped in the SP1. Plus, it's the roll-up of all the prior cumulative updates and security updates. So everything's in there. That's a good thing to think about if you're coming for 2010. SP1 is like a cumulative update. It includes everything prior up to that point. Danette, can you tell me why that keeps coming back?
So, if anyone else had tried to present the poll for us, trying to help out, absolutely appreciate it. But if you could just take yourself out as presenter now, that'd be great.
Okay, so back to the slides. So everything's included in SP1 up to this point. And if we look at, as we always have traditionally done, SP1 not only includes those updates, but what else, what other features we brought to the table in SP1? And I'll break those up into generally three areas, and we'll spend the rest of the session looking at a handful of these in a little bit more detail and doing a few demos. So first and foremost is security and compliance. So there's quite a few investments that we just talked about and disclosed this week. So around document or data loss prevention. The first one here is document fingerprinting, the ability to control content that's leaving the organization, having better ways to discover that. So I'm not going to go through this list, but this kind of gives you the high-level view of the structure we'll look at. We'll end with this as well. So let's begin with the security and compliance. We'll hit administration and architecture and user experience improvements towards the tail end of this. So first item I wanted to cover off with you that's included in SP1 is document fingerprinting for data loss prevention. So it's delivered in SP1 for those online customers. You would also find that we're trying to this same feature would be available in Office 365 as well. So this is a point in time where the same features lighting up across both service and on premises. What is document fingerprinting? It is, the approach is to help you control intellectual property from accidentally leaving your organization, and doing that in a way that fits together with our data loss prevention investments. So it's both, make that a policy, something we can apply, but ultimately be able to do that in a way that helps educate and inform the user so we don't get in the way. Document fingerprints are used in DLP. You create them by, say, taking your tax form or your in a patent form, and we're actually going to create what we refer to as a document fingerprint, essentially an outline of the metadata that makes up that document. We don't store that document itself, but rather what happens when I upload that document template into Exchange. It actually creates representation of that document stored as a sensitive data type. Once I have that created, I'll have the ability to create data loss prevention rules and policy tips with that new sensitive data type. So what you can see here in the screenshot is towards the upper side, you can see within compliance management and data loss prevention, you notice you have a new section here called Manage Document Fingerprints. And that is where you start this process to say, okay, I have this form, which I want to ensure that we don't accidentally or inadvertently allow people to email and attach outside the organization, or maybe even share within the organization. And from that document, I'm going to go ahead and upload that document, and I'll take you through a short demo on this shortly. You're going to upload that document. I'm going to name it as a template or a set of templates that make up that sensitive type of data that I'm looking for. And the outcome of this is then I can take that patent document or patent template and use as a sensitive data type. And I can create a rule that says, hey, anytime that document or anyone has an attachment that actually looks like or appears to be a derivative of that form, let's go ahead and invoke a policy tip and invoke the different actions, whether it be block or whether it be allowing you to override and take those data loss prevention activities. And those technically are implemented as a transport rule once they're actually added up and configured in the system. We'll spend a few minutes doing a demo of a couple of these features shortly. The other notable improvement in the DLP area in SP1 is bringing policy tips into OWA. So if you weren't aware of this, in Exchange 2013 policy tips, which are those user education notifications, were currently only, or prior to SP1, only available in the Outlook 2013 client. Exchange 2013 SP1 brings that same set of features into OWA. And so as you can see here, a very similar user experience. They work like they work in Outlook, same set of rules. You don't have to go configure anything new on the administrator side or in the rule side. Those same rules will be available in both locations. Again, same actions behind the scenes. If you choose to turn in auditing or choose to give them additional actions to override, to see more information, they can do all those things in OWA just as they could in Outlook. And again, those are all configured in the, these are available both in are configured in the same location. No difference. We're just finding a different way to service that. And this feature is delivered in SP1 and because I saw several customers said they were on 365, this feature is now also available or is becoming available in Office 365. And the reason I say that, the rollout of features go through various different rings, but the feature is in process of being rolled out in service as well. So this is, and I'll try to be good about that. What we're talking about is SP1. As a general rule, almost all these things are available or in the process of being rolled out in service as well. So definitely can apply to you wherever you're using the feature. An additional feature that was often requested, something that I think we have a good tradition of bringing back in SP1 releases, is SMIME. And so SMIME in OWA returns, or SMIME returns in SP1. Really same set of features that we had in Exchange Server 2010, just delivered as SP1. Allow you to digitally sign and encrypt messages. It's a user invoked option, so they invoke that, as you can see in the screenshot here, from message options, and then they can actually select the options they want to do there. Once that's done, you can see in the bottom on the subject line they'll have a line that shows a short indicator with a key or a signature to validate that SMIME has been turned on. From a configuration perspective, you configure this in shell, and we're going to make sure that you have a certificate collection set up as well. But from a user perspective, it becomes very easy for them to take advantage of these capabilities in OWA as well. And I guess to also speak to, of course, this is obviously delivered in SP1, and this is another feature that will be rolling out in Exchange Online as well. Okay. So let's. I'm going to jump over and do a few, take a look at a few of these things and firsthand. So let me switch to my desktop. I'll give it just a moment for the refreshes to catch up, and I hope that everybody is able to see this. And again, the recordings will be posted afterwards as well. So I'm going to connect. Most of these features we talked about are really first and foremost user features. So let's begin taking a look at data loss prevention. I'm going to start with this. The first one I'm going to take a look at is the document fingerprinting. I'll give the user perspective of this. So I'm just simply going to create a new mail. I'm going to send it to one of my colleagues within my Contoso organization. Here is the document. I'm just going to simply attach a document. Seems benign enough. My name is really secretive here, so it's actually a patent form. I'll open that up in a moment. So I've attached that. Say, hope it helps. And we can be on our way. Now, what that document actually contains is actual patent document template. So you can see here various different information that's being covered, but it's essentially a form that records the information about who actually were the inventors in this case, and relevant information. So that document is here. I'm going to save that because my DLP tip hasn't appeared. I'm going to use this as an opportunity to show you that that also works in OA as well. So I'm on a pretty slow network. I don't know if that's adding to our issues here, but let's take a look at this draft item. So let's continue editing that, guys. So it's the same one you had just seen, same document. And you see here, this is the case where the policy tip is now invoked based on simply the type of document that I've applied here. Now I've been a bit cheeky and just said you really shouldn't be doing that. It contains sensitive information. The user then goes, hey, what's that really about? They can hit details. They can either choose to remove that recipient, or they can actually override. And again, they can then drill down into say, hey, what's wrong with this message? Why am I getting this information? And they can actually click into this and see here that, hey, the issue is that you're actually trying to send a patent document. So we're going to give them all that information of, hey, you shouldn't do this. If you really need to, in this case, we can choose to configure and say they can override so they can remain productive. And then ultimately, like, hey, why is that actually being fired? And be able to take actions there. So to spend a bit of a minute, where did that actually come from? How did we get to that point? So I'm going to go over to my Exchange server, and I'm going to go into compliant in the EAC and compliance management and data loss prevention. And as I mentioned before, we have this new option called Manage Document Fingerprints. And you're going to look here, you're going to see that I've already entered that patent document. So this is where this derived from. I can actually hit change on this. You can see I actually had a template document that was the basis for this. I can describe what this rule is about. But ultimately what happens is once I've created this, I'm able to take and create a DLP rule to take action on that. So you can see that's the first action, is create a new sensitive data type based on your document, and then actually create a DLP policy with that information. And see here I've created my rule. An important bit is within my rules, it says I have no rules configured. That's interesting. Let's try changing that again. And I'd have a rule that actually pointed out to look at the sensitive information, that sensitive data type that we have just configured. So I can come in and see my patent information. We can come in and look at this. And see here I have how that rule gets picked up as I'm looking for where that recipient is located. And then I have a new sensitive data type. In my data types, I've actually added patent documents by the virtue of adding that new document fingerprint. Okay. So we've given you a quick view. We actually were able to give you the view of policy tips also resolving in OA, so you get that same experience whether I'm in Outlook or whether I'm in OA for your documents. Okay, the additional item that we talked about in security and compliance area was adding SPIME. So I'm just going to say in OA, I'm going to go ahead and pop this open a little larger for you. And I could send a document, send a new message, what I want to call out. The way to invoke the user from a user experience, they invoke that SMIME encryption. They can get into message options, and then the message options themselves, you're going to find now that I have the ability to encrypt or digitally sign the message. The first time I use this, it's going to prompt to install an ActiveX control. That's required to enable this. This means that this is something that is only supported in IE9 and later for this control for SP1. Okay, so I can choose to accept one of these, and you see here, this is where I get my my visual indicator that I've actually set that on the message. Okay. And again, these are all available in SP1 to be configured. You spend the time, or we don't have the time today to go into all the configuration steps for each of these activities. So we want to cover off many of the different features we have available in SP1. So I'm going to jump back to the presentation and continue on. And we'll let it load. So that's a quick view of the major investments in security and compliance. There's a few other items you're going to find noted along the way as well. So let's switch gears and take a look at some of the investments in both the administration and architecture area that are included in SP1. First and foremost, question we continue to get is, hey, when are you going to support Exchange on Windows Server 2012 R2? So my first call to action here is, if you want the complete story, we have a short link here for you to easily follow with the Exchange supported platform matrix. So it describes the supported platforms across all versions. So it's your one resource you can go to get a definitive answer across all. I've highlighted a couple things to answer the question of, hey, where can I install Exchange Server 2013? As of Exchange Server 2013 SP1, Windows Server 2012 R2 is a supported OS. That doesn't change the story for earlier releases of Exchange Server 2013 being CU2 or CU3. Those are not supported on 2012 R2, as you can see noted here. So if you want, if you're want a platform on 2012 R2, SP1 is the ticket to be able to go there. Okay. And the next question that logically comes up is, okay, what about the AD support? So from an AD environment perspective, we're doing work there, not only in Exchange Server 2013, which gives you kind of the full capabilities, whether it's domain or forest functional level. That's what we're indicating here. But so that you get that full capability both in 2013 SP1 or 2010 SP3 RU5 and later. So that was just released on the same day that SP1 was released. So if you're making those moves, that's important information to know. Again, I'm going to just call out, this is the time we're adding these capabilities, but always for the most up-to-date story, go visit the Exchange Matrix on TechNet to ensure you have the full understanding of these. So I want to continue on there. The other good win is bringing EAC logging back. In EAC, I guess we should say command logging is back. It's now implemented into the EAC. So we haven't had that in the past with the new EAC. So simply accessed in the help menu in the EAC. So you'd click the arrow next to the question mark, and you see here I have an option for show command logging included. And what that's going to do is pop open a logging viewer window. It captures up to 500 commands. So this is a moving list. Important things to know is that the window must be open to capture the command. So I can't go turn on command logging after I've done my commands. You have to proactively open the command logging window before you want to capture what you're looking at. And if you close the window, those commands are going to be cleared. So an important thing to understand kind of how that works. So I'll give you a demo of that shortly, but calling out that is something that's being brought back in SP1. That's how you're going to find that exposed and in different ways. And I can do things like copy and paste the content out of here, make it a little bit easier for you to work with, multi-select and those types of things. Other very notable thing that was probably some folks had noted as being absent in prior to SP1 was Edge Transport Role in Exchange Server 2013. So it's back, great. So it comes back, and up to this point, we've given guidance to use a 2010 Edge role. So just to be clear, kind of what the Edge role is, your primary role in your perimeter network. Its functionality is essentially functionally the same as the 2010 Edge Transport role. And again, for 365 customers, as we say, you have to have an Exchange server as the primary interface point. So this is great for hybrid mail flow situations where you want to have that Edge server in place, and now you get to do it with a 2013 version from a supportability perspective. And again, we still have, if you want full primary protection, EOP solutions are available, and that's what those solutions are for. So it's a preliminary endpoint protection. But it's also not a malware scanner. That's just in the mailbox role. And something of note is that Edge is not managed by a GUI. The GUI for 2013 is browser-based. So this decision was made to say, hey, let's not add any additional risk by including IIS on that box. So it means you're going to start off initially configuring it via PowerShell. So that's something of note. There's actually a reason that it's been done that way. So quick facts about it. So Edge Transport 2007, 2010 are compatible with 2013. So well, to be clear, if you've already implemented 2010, we're not saying go rip that out. If you're a new implementing customer, hey, then 2013 Edge is the way you ought to probably go. And 2013 Edge is compatible with the latest releases of prior Exchange versions. So as long as you're on those latest support pack and RUs, you'll have compatibility with those prior versions of Exchange as well. A little bit about mail flow and how this works. From an inbound, how's things going to work, and this really comes into play of how you're actually architecting your solution. It depends on whether you chose to have single server role or multi role. So Edge role delivers to the mailbox role when it's a single server role, and if it's on a multi-role, it's actually going to deliver through CAS. And then outbound, it doesn't matter. It will always go direct from mailbox to Edge. So that's just something for you to understand how the transport actually works. So suspect this will be one of the newest features implemented in SP1 is a new communication method between Exchange and Outlook, referred to as MAPI over HTTP or MAPI HTTP. So if you see those names, that's what we're talking about. So you'll find that quite a lot of documentation servicing now in TechNet. I want to be clear that it's a new communication method for Exchange and Outlook. It's not a direct replacement. We're not mandating a replacement the moment you put SP1 in. Existing clients, older clients, will continue to use Outlook Anywhere or RPC over HTTP. This communication method is only available when you have Exchange Server 2013 SP1 together with Office Client 2013 SP1. So you have to have both sides of the equation in place. So the newest clients and newest server releases available. So that's prereqs to consider this. Why we made this change? I give you a quick view of that. So first and foremost, making these changes to make it easier and better troubleshooting and problem resolution experience. So when we're having connectivity issues, MAPI HTTP is going to make it much easier. Dedicated logs to isolate those problems, more clear what communications are going on. From a user experience perspective, it also means that they're going to have a better experience from coming out of hibernation. It's going to be able to resume a network connection, or if they're making switches from a wired to wireless network, be able to make those switches. And this is the type of thing where you're used to seeing the waiting for Exchange to reconnect. Those types of messages should be, or a little bit shorter anyway, because they'll be able to resume those. If you think about how, what the major difference is from an architecture perspective, very simple view here on the right, but essentially it's making the communications between client and server truly a request response, traditional web-based interface. We don't have a bunch of long-running connections. First note about deploying MAPI HTTP. We're in the midst of working on full deployment guidance. So I urge you to don't rush off and try to deploy this wholesale in your organization day one. Wait for that full deployment guidance to come to TechNet, which will be coming over the next few weeks. Little bit about deployment, both on the server side. So by default, when you install SP1, MAPI HTTP is actually going to be disabled. So you would actually have to take some actions to configure a virtual directory named MAPI to set its URLs and configure it, and then you actually turn it on from an organizational configuration perspective. That's turned on as an organizational it's an org-wide setting, so you can't turn it on at a server level. And in a moment, you'll see this upcoming. So my client perspective requires 2013 SP1. So that's the only clients that are capable of the new communication method. And when you make that switch, when I've said, okay, I got all my clients deployed, I go into the server and I turn it on. When that's turned on, the clients themselves are going to be prompted with the administrator made a change dialogue. So, an important thing to know is if we did give you the ability to turn this on at a server level, if a database, the active database actually changed locations and it went to a server where they that server wasn't on, the users could end up in this on this kind of continual message. So we want to avoid that, and so it gets turned on an org-wide level. So that's essentially a one-time message that they're going to make that switch up to MAPI HTTP. So give you a couple screenshots of that here in a moment, kind of what it looks like. Hey, when users are prompted, you've probably all seen this message before, but they're going to receive that message when that configuration change is made. And it's actually the client making that discovery. The client itself was going to reach out, discover, hey, says, I'm MAPI HTTP compatible. Server, are you ready to go with this? If so, then it's going to say, hey, let's reconfigure our profile to be able to communicate that way. Kind of from a connection status change, you're going to see in the past, you're used to seeing protocol or RPC HTTP. After the switch is made, after I restart, you're going to find that the protocol obviously is being switched here. Some other kind of fine things in the connections tab and a few other spots. You're going to see that we don't have to have as much information stored. Okay. I'll give you a quick view of that in a demo shortly, but other important things to note here is if I have multiple accounts configured, if I go to an older server, that Outlook can continue to communicate for both with MAPI and RPC, so I can have accounts on a legacy server and an account on a 2013 server. It can communicate via both. The other question I've heard a few times is, well, what happens if there's a problem with MAPI? Does it fall back to RPC? And no, and this is really to kind of dispel that myth. Like, this is not, RPC shouldn't be thought of as the fallback. They're two distinct options, and there's really no reason to think we need to fall back to RPC, but rather, hey, if you made that architectural decision to say, I'm going to go MAPI, that's what that's going to continue to use to communicate to the server. Okay, so let's and be clear. I haven't done. I'm not going to cover all the different options. We're going to get through kind of all the different elements today. So yes, there's a few other things included in the administration architecture, including SSL offloading, a few others that we won't spend time discussing given our limited time today. The best way to get the full story, again, just go back to the Exchange blog as a good way to get started. We could probably turn almost all these different topics into a standalone session in Ignite, and perhaps we should be doing that. We will be working to bring you all that information in the future. But we wanted to give you a first look at the most questions and most seen topics right out of the gate. So I'm going to start in Exchange Server 2013, and where I'm going to my Exchange server. And first thing you notice, one thing we didn't really talk about, how do you, in pre-SP1, you just had to know to go to EAC given the URL. So you notice now I have my Exchange Manager shell, but I also have a short shortcut to EAC. So small win, not a top line thing we message, but it's there now. So a little easier for you to navigate and find. Oop. Let's go back out of here. I've already launched most of these items, so I've actually pinned myself down here. So the first thing, let's come over and talk a little bit about commandlet logging. And again, as I said, you invoke that via show command logging. I'm going to click on this, and I already have it open. I wanted to be capturing a few of these things. As long as this window is open, it's capturing my activities that I'm carrying out. So if I were to come in and change, you can see there I was doing things around the DLP policies. We were logging all those items, and I can do things like I want to, grab multiple of these. I can build those up. You can see it easily is able to give you a display of several of those together, and I can, control click and get additional items here. So you don't have to go one by one through here to get these. It allows you to search within that command, those logged commands as well. So quick view of command logging. The additional thing let's take a look at was MAPI configuration. So you can see I have new configurations around, or new commandlets dedicated to this. Let's see here. Come on. Apologies. Come on, computer. It's going to make me actually type it, I think. Come on. There we go. So I've already came in and configured this. So on TechNet, you're going to find a matching configuration. Some of the important things to note here is I come in and configured my internal and external URLs. So I've actually exchanged 2013.corp.contoso for my internal URL /MAPI versus my external URL. And then again, to organizationally wide turn this on, we have a new parameter set. Actually, I think I have it just up here. So this is from turning it on perspective. Yes, turn it on this way, but please use caution. Please use proper planning before doing this. So start in a lab environment. Make sure you fully understand how this is going to impact. And again, as I mentioned, we'll be providing additional guidance on the impacts on any server sizing changes, anything that are required to enable this. From a client perspective, as I noted before, this user's already been switched over. So I'm just going to look at their connections. Oop, here we go. He actually hasn't been updated yet, but when this user actually connects, he'll get a reconnection notice, and they'll simply continue about their business. From a user perspective, there's no notable change, no UI change for them. Seeing some of the questions on the side here, does this mean that we're getting rid of RPC or Outlook Anywhere connections? No. Hey, we don't have immediate plans to take MAPI back to prior clients. Those clients are supported for several years, as you're well aware in the life cycle. So we'll continue to support both of these. But going forward, new clients are being designed to connect to this method. And then from a server perspective, you're in control of when you choose to turn that on. Again, it's shipped by default in SP1 deactivated. You then would have to need to take the actions to both configure and to activate that. And in addition to that, of course, rolling out the rolling out the client updates as well. So getting all those things ready is an important pieces to plan for. Okay, I'm going to jump back to cover off a few more topics. Oop. Say okay. Seeing the side conversations here, yes, from a ports perspective, it's HTTPS, so there's not a unique set of ports that are going to be required for this to activate over or to communicate over. A couple things from a user experience. Want to save time for questions at the end, so just briefly talk about these user experience updates that you're going to find in SP1. So things that your users make sure that they're aware of show up. Might get some initial questions of, hey, I see these new buttons, I see these new capabilities. The first is in OA, in SP1, the OA editor, OA Compose experience has been extended with additional capabilities. So the most notable one that you're going to see here is ability to insert and format tables. So you're going to have this nice control, just easy with that. So you're used to seeing in Outlook, insert a table, dynamic graphically pick the size of the table, and then once that table is there, when you're in the table, it'll give you table formatting controls. They're kind of context specific to what they're doing. So investments here to make a great editing experience for that user. And of course, I can do all the things prior updates have already been delivering. Inserting images, inserting links, things like that. Being able to make that easier to work with. And then, on the same vein, is if you're aware of the apps for Office were an investment made in the original RTM timeframe in Outlook, in OA, in Mail in general. Those had only existed while you were reading or consuming mail. And so what SP1 brings is the notion of, hey, we should also be able to have apps to help me compose or create messages. So you notice up in the upper control in OA, you also have it in Outlook as well. The ability for have an icon for apps while you're composing. So we actually actively, rather than in the read mode, they're contextual, right? They look at some regular expression, decides when to invoke. And when I'm composing, it's up to the user decision. So they're going to actually click on apps. There's one single app delivered with SP1. Further apps will be available in the App Store or could be custom developed and load to your corporate catalog. But the one that initially comes with it is this notion of my templates, which help you build up your standard replies of, hey, in this example, you want to go to lunch, or come in for a meeting, or maybe you have a question that your users continually ask over and over about, how do I set up my new device? Like, you can have that as essentially my template reply, like here it is. So it gives you those capabilities. You can see, that's the out of the box experience. But then developers now have the option to go build apps that help them, a user build up a rich mail. Maybe it's include shipping information or include current information about a project. So you can imagine that the capabilities that are come here, but it's taking that platform capability that we had just in the reading capabilities in Outlook, and now bringing those to bear also when you're actually creating mails. So give you again, those are things to be aware of, that, hey, users are going to see some new buttons light up. Be aware of those capabilities that are coming. It's been just a couple minutes on deployment. Scratch the surface anyway. Couple things of note. SP1 is a full build of Exchange. SP1 is essentially like a CU. So thinking in our early post where she said, you technically could think of SP1 as being CU4. We'll spend a minute talking about that shortly. Again, SP1 is going to require updates to AD schema, so make sure we carry those out. server role selection, you're going to find Edge is there. If you're doing the GUI setup, again, there's silent install options for you. And then if you're already on running 2013, you can upgrade and our lovely accept server license terms, which, yes, I've heard it many times. We like to make sure you're fully accepting and know exactly what you're accepting every time. So quick check boxes of things we had to look at today from our sessions. Yes, legal made us do it. We love it, just to be safe. There's a few other features. Most of these are covered in the Exchange team blog as starting points. Supporting TechNet conversations, and as appropriate, we'll do follow-up conversations, either in Ignite or certainly could join us at MEC for deep conversations essentially in all these topics. So I wanted to close with making sure everyone is clear on our Exchange release cadence now that we've gone through first set of CUs, first support pack. There's been some questions that have come up along the way. We told you in early 2014, well, we can actually put a date to that. That's great. Couple key takeaways for you to be aware of, right? Exchange is built by one team. So these things I've talked about delivering in SP1, one Exchange team building these. As a general practice, those are delivered in service and then rolled up into on-premises releases. So we have one code base, and we build one place and deliver it everywhere. When do things ship? Well, that's why we have these types of sessions to tell you, hey, these are the things that we actually were able to and felt safe putting into CU or an SP. And generally, we think of that as, the major changes come in the next server release, whereas in the service, those are continue rolling out. We do that for a couple of reasons. One, for your on-premises customers to give you stability, to know things aren't changing. We want to, not have disruptive things. So, yeah, we'll kind of bend the rules a bit from, if we look at DLP, like we were, kind of our view there was we're extending that motion or extending the feature set we already had of, adding OA policy tips. So we felt safe in delivering that. But anything that is going to be potentially, cause you lots of rework in an on-premises environment. Those are the types of things that should be held for the next server version. And the way we deliver these, so in between a CU or SP, we continue to deliver security updates. They're standalone and they're done as required. And cumulative updates are done on a quarterly basis. Now, comment on that. We target quarterly. It doesn't mean you can set your watch by that. No, we're going to deliver on a quarterly calendar, but ultimately we're going to ship it when we've gone through all the validations. We're certain you're going to get a good experience with that. So don't have an expectation that you can set your watch by it, but yeah, that's the cadence from an Uber planning perspective we work towards. And service pack we do periodically. We're not committing to any, every fourth or every fifth CU becoming a service pack. And service pack has a unique lifecycle support. You can go check that out in our lifecycle support policy, meaning, hey, service pack, we're going to continue to give security updates for a longer period than we would for any individual CU along the way. So a couple things for you to be aware of there. So a couple resources for you to think about, and I'll open that up to say, hey, any questions we want to discuss here. Happy to start answering those. So if you want to pipe in, or Brian or Scott, if there's things you want to highlight that you answered along the way that I was probably not watching fully along the session, please go ahead and add.